So can you see my screen?
Yes, Sarath.
Okay, perfect. So good evening, everyone. Firstly, thank you all of you for taking out your time and joining this session on ATS versus a interviewer. So whenever technology shifts, some adopt early and some adopt later, right? But it's always the early adopters who gain the biggest advantage. Today, we are right at that turning point in the hiring. So I appreciate all of you again for being that early adopters for the technological advancements. So before we start, let's quickly introduce myself and also understand who are the attendees for the session. So I'm Sarath and I'm product manager at ICOM. So let's also understand who is the attendees. So Shreya gonna trigger a poll, just a couple of questions to know who you are and what challenges you're facing with the hiring currently. Shreya, can you please launch the poll, please?
Yeah, right away. So there are three questions in this poll. I only see five responses so far, so I'll just wait for 2 more minutes and then close this poll.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are still joining the call. Let me just keep it open for 2 more minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I hope the poll is visible to everyone. I have only received 6 responses so far, and there are 20 plus people in this meeting. So I'm expecting a few more responses.
Yeah, Shreya. So let's see the results and understand who are our attendees today.
Sure, Sharad. So I see that lot of you all are from the sales and marketing team. And coming to the next thing, majority of people said that manual screening wastes their time, which is why we have organized this webinar today to, cover the prospects that are there with the AI interviewer. And when asked if AI interviewer is supposed to be tried, uh, the responses I received is yes. And if any of you have tried it yet, for this, majority of people say no. Yeah, so that's the summary of the responses so far.
Okay, thank you, Shreya. Thank you for the insights. I think we the session which we planned today actually were pretty much relevant to that. And hello.
Yes, you are audible. Yes.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so today's topic is basically when we said ATS versus AI interviewer. So there are companies migrating from ATS to AI interviewer. So why are actually companies migrating from ATS to AI interviewer, right? So once upon a time, there lived a king called ATS, right? Too much influential and conquered a vast market. Okay, let's be very honest now. I mean, every recruiter knows his pain. When we open our ATS dashboards, we see 1,200 resumes for each job, and 1,000 of them look identical, and 100 are irrelevant. Maybe 10 might actually fit. If you ever find them in time, that with a lot much of screening chaos, maybe the king got older, it seems, right? That's the world we built, where resumes decide who gets seen, not who is actually capable. The only things that ATS can see is the highlighted keywords on the resume, which is on the right of the screen. These are logically derived from keyword dictionaries like skill dictionaries, location dictionaries, company dictionaries, degrees dictionaries, and such other dictionaries. So it blindly extracts these keywords from its own dictionaries and checks whether these keywords are present in the resume or not. And this is keyword based. That's not at all evidence based. That's the maximum we can expect from an ATS. But imagine this. What if your hiring process could listen, could think, could respond like your best interviewer? What if instead of screening test, your system could understand the human potential? Traditional ATS systems filter only candidates. AI interviews while they understand them. That's the shift from data-driven rejection to an insight-driven selection. So this is how an AI interviewer actually looks like. So it's a group of agents. Before I jump in there, that this is the new era, and that's what ICOM actually bringing to life. AI interviews aren't just automations; they're empathy plus efficiency fused together. It's not automation; it's augmentation. AI interviews don't stop at filtering; they generate decision-grade insights and bring evidence-based intelligence to the top of the funnel. They listen to how candidates reason, not just what they have written in their resume. They analyze the domain understanding of the candidate, the intent, the confidence of them, and also coherence. For example, this candidate thinks strategically, or this one candidate overuses buzzwords but lacks depth. That particular candidate learns fast, but he hasn't worked in a structured environment. These kind of insights we can get from an A interviewer, which we cannot expect from an ATS. And moreover, ATS is not designed to function that way. It actually matters who is interviewing, right? So for example, a person is certified by IIT has more value than a person who is certified by XYZ Institute. The value of the certifier that becomes the value of the certification. So it matters most if a senior recruiter interviews, if a CEO interviews, it matters actually who is actually interviewing. That exactly defines the quality of the interview. Similarly, our A interviewer, which we built, it's an army of subject matter expert A agents collaboratively doing the interview. Just imagine India's top 100 recruiters sitting in front of me and interviewing me. How does that look like? So it's a collaborative, it's a kind of jury instead of an interview, right? So that's how the efficiency with the interview in ICOM is. So companies aren't switching because ATS is broken. They are switching because the world of talent has outgrown the ATS models. So instead of filtering 1,000 resumes, companies now speak to 1,000 candidates simultaneously using our intelligent conversational AI. This migration isn't about replacing the recruiters. It's about replacing the screening chaos with meaningful and data-backed conversations. It's about giving superpowers to the recruiters, for instance. Today's webinar isn't about tools. It's about a shift from filtering humans to truly discarding them. And this shift isn't just technological, it's a behavioral shift. So who is actually migrating? Are this bunch of small players, mid-sized players, or are this top-notch guys? So yes, Questcott, probably most of the recruiters we are aware of the Questcott. It's India's one of the largest staffing solutions company. They recently laid off 700 recruiters after leveraging AI interviewer. They have delegated their first round interviews with a interviewer instead of a human interviewer or a junior recruiter. So we have a very detailed blog on the same on our website. You can also refer to that for thorough details. With the adoption of AI interviewer, they are able to cut down the time to hire by 90%, cost of hire reduced by 70%, and increase the quality of hire by 56%. And this interviews generates a detailed report post the interview. So that kind of transformation is happening. The layoffs are happening everywhere. Yeah, we're seeing it, but there is a reason for it too. So am I saying is a interviewer replacing the recruiters? The answer is definitely no. If you look into this scenario closely, it's not a replacing the recruiters. It's actually recruiters who are using a interviewer are replacing the recruiters who aren't using the a interviewer. A interviewer is actually amplifying the recruiter's performance. It's giving them some superpowers. It is increasing the recruiter's bandwidth by delegating first round of interviews. Multiple recruiters come with different knowledge gaps, resulting in inconsistent evaluation. Or even if as candidates, 1,000 candidates are interviewed by same person, after 10, 12 resumes or 5, 6 interviews, our human brain gets affected by brain fog and unrecognized bias come into picture. So the quality of evaluation is lost. A interviewer transforms gut feeling hiring strategies to data driven hiring strategies. That's what exactly it does. So it doesn't replace for your information. So what is exactly this A interview, right? So if you look at human interviews, what actually happens there? We try to examine the resume and get that information, ask questions from it to validate the information in the resume. That's exactly what happens, right? And also, we have a checklist as a recruiter. We want a combo of Python plus fast APIs and Node.js. And we have we need B2B SaaS experience folk. We have a checklist as a recruiter. So we try to ensure that our checklist is met. So we try to validate the resume. We try to check the whether the job requirements are met or not, whether our checklist is met or not. Also, we try to check some personality related aspects, whether this person has a good analytical skills or not, whether this person has a good communication or not. So we do check this kind of things. So after researching and decoding hundreds of such interviews, we have structured our AI interviewer in a similar fashion that makes it look like an AI human interviewer simulation. So it's a personalized interview with respect to JD and resume. So for every candidate, the resume is different. So the questionnaire would be different. So it's recorded and it's proctored. So no malpractice is involved. If any caught, it would be captured and displayed to the recruiter. Post interview, it creates a detailed report that enables the recruiter to take data-driven hiring decisions. So here is the sample A interview. Can you hear the voice of the video?
Um, it's not audible. Maybe try sharing it with the audio.
Okay, once, give me a moment.
To briefly tell
Yeah,
us
now.
about yourself?
Yeah, perfect.
Hi, I'm Mohammed Fairuz. I completed my engineering at 2023 in MIT
Can you increase
Gurgaon.
the volume a
After
little
that,
bit?
I started as a
Yeah.
associate software engineer in Symphoниze. My working domain is DevOps and cloud. I'm working in both AWS and GCP.
So we
My
have
daily
HR
routine
round
follows
where it asks questions
accountability
about tell me
check-ins,
about yourself,
work-life
for
balance,
instance,
and as well
and I would just fast forward and show you how what sort of questions it actually
Thank
asks.
you for sharing.
Describe a time when you
Now,
fail at
let's
something. What did you learn from
sound
it? So these are the kind of HR questions to
person.
understand the personality aspect of the candidate. So we have a second round as resume validation. It try to read the information in the resume and it try to ask questions which we usually do, the resume validation. And we have another category, JD fitment role. That it's basically we are checking we have a checklist and we're trying to ensure that the checklist is met. And fourth, we have a personality assessment. How do you handle disagreements with colleagues to understand the cultural fit of the candidate? So we have 20 to 40 minutes of a interview sessions. So it would help the A understand what this person is actually capable of, right? Okay. So as I said, after the interview, a detailed report is generated, right? So this is how the report look like. This whole 2 slides, it's exactly how our report look like. It's a report with more than 65 plus data points. So this will give the chance to move from intuition to data-driven hiring decisions. And it has resume match score, it has a interview score, it has the overview of skill fit, experience fit, joining probability, and others. And it also has a recording with transcripts along with the screenshots of multiple detected malpractices. And here, if you look at the experience section, talks about whether this particular candidate can do my job or not. The joining probability talks about considering this candidate can do my job, but will he join in my company or not? For instance, if you look at a person who is working in a corporate for the last 20 years, may not prefer to work in a startup, right? So there would be a cultural mismatch. So, or the budgets could be different. So joining probability talks about is it worth even to interview this candidate or not? Right. So joining probability talks about that. We have transition behavior. If we join this our company, whether this person gonna stay with our company for a while or not, is he juggling in his previous job? What is his transition behavior? How often he switches the companies? And also we have insights about the overall role fitment. We have insights on the clarity and the consistency of the person. We have company alignment related data as well as candidate strengths, weakness, and the areas of improvement. So this is how the AI interview report look like. So consider the same thing, how a resume look like, what it has, and how a AI report look like. So this would help us delegate our first round human interviews with to AI. So we started with this why companies are migrating from ATS to AI interview, right? So why staying with the ATS is a real risk. I mean, let's be clear. The world isn't moving from ATS to AI because it's trendy. We often listen around because AI is fancy, is everybody has AI. Without that, they don't even give a chance to talk. Yeah, that's there, but it's not. The world isn't moving because of that alone. It's moving because speed without intelligence is now a liability in hiring. In 2025, companies that still rely on the ATS filtering are already losing top talent silently because the smartest candidates they no longer want to upload resumes and wait. They want conversations. They don't want forms. That's exactly what an AI interview gives. A human conversation powered by technology. ATS platforms are designed for administration, not for intelligence. They're excellent at tracking, tagging, templating, but very terrible at truly understanding the talent. And that's exactly why we are witnessing the rise of a new hiring paradigm, the AI interview. So is ATS no longer efficient? For the last 2 decades, the ATS has been the backbone of digital recruiting. We all have experienced ATS. It helped companies process thousands of resumes, automate workflows, stay compliant. But here is the truth: the world of work has evolved, and the ATS didn't. ATS doesn't know if someone can think. It only knows if they type the right keywords. ATS was built for the world where keywords meant the capability, and that world no longer exists today. Efficiency usually depends on the context. ATS platforms were built for volume hiring, not for precision hiring. They're designed to track the applications, not to understand them. But today, the bottleneck isn't about tracking, it's about trust. As a recruiter, we trust less on what resume says, but we trust more on what our conversations reveal actually. So that's why the ATS is getting less efficient day by day with the change in the paradigm. So efficiency today means it is reducing bias, not just manual effort. It's assessing talent, not just keywords. It's about predicting the success, not just filtering by history. And that's where AI interviews outperform the ATS. They scale understanding, not just an automation. Today, job descriptions are very dynamic. Skills are changing faster than the resumes can capture. And talent discovery can no longer depend on static PDFs and keyword matches. So companies are now questioning themselves, is their ATS still serving them or are the companies serving the ATS? That's the kind of dilemma they are at this stage. So how is ATS handling fabricated and AI generated resumes? So earlier we have seen this scenario where my friend used my resume, or we try to use some expert's resume just to bypass the ATS. And today, if you look at, we have too much of AI tools. And I just typed in the chat GPT, I went to chat GPT and typed, give me a list of tools with which I can personalize my resume matching to the JD. And the list is so long that I have zoomed in the screen and I have took the screenshot. And that's how it is. Every recruiter knows this feeling. You shortlist a resume that looks perfect and interview the candidate, and within minutes realize that the person on the call isn't the person on the paper. What happened? AI happened. That's the problem. The modern resume is no longer an application, it's a crafted performance. Today, more than 40% of resumes contain AI generated or AI polished content. Skills are inflated, metrics are embellished, and achievements are synthesized to sound data driven. In 2025, tools like ChatGPT and the whole list you have on the screen, they can make anyone look like a 10x engineer in minutes. The result, it's a flood of fabricated, polished, pattern optimized resumes that beat the traditional ATS systems. Not with skill, but with syntax. And ATS loves this because to an ATS, a better written lie looks like a better candidate. Traditional ATS tools easily get full because they match keywords, not logic. They don't verify context or reasoning. They can't test the capability in real time. But an A interview doesn't get full just like ATS because it talks to the candidate. A interviews, on the other hand, they can converse, they can probe, they can adapt. So it probes, for instance, tell me how you have optimized that pipeline. If someone mentioned that I have optimized the marketing pipeline, which increased this conversion rates. A interviews triggers this. Tell me how you optimize that pipeline. What trade-offs did you make? How would you scale it under constraint? These things, uh, that's what the A interview asks in the interview. So they can identify inconsistencies in the reasoning, in the domain depth, or in the situational judgment, things impossible to fake at scale. In other words, the future of verification is conversation, not documentation. So are resumes dead? Okay. So how many of you think that resumes dead? Any response from the attendees?
Resumes are not going to be dead. They are going to be as they are. But they are
It's not.
not much anymore.
Yeah, maybe the mixed opinion is it's dead, it's not dead, maybe it's dying. So it's a mixed opinion. So does anybody know the story of resume? When was the first resume written? The resume was born in 15th century, and we all heard this name, Leonardo Vinci, right? The famous painter. He has written the first one, a handwritten letter listing his projects and skills to pitch himself to the Duke of Milan. And it was a brilliant idea in the world where reputation couldn't travel fast. The resume was the story. Over the last decade, recruiters realized that they couldn't read thousands of resumes manually, so they built ATS and application tracking systems. And they're designed to scan resumes for relevant keywords, not understand people. Fast forward to 2025, we are still using the same concept, a static piece of text. Sorry. Okay. So fast forward to 2025, we are still using the same concept, a static piece of text trying to summarize a dynamic human being. And in the process, we have reduced talent to keywords, formats, and templates. And now AI tools have learned how to beat the system. Like I shown the list, ChatGPT, JobScan, Resi, Skill Thinker. We have n number of tools, all helping the candidates rewrite and keyword optimize the resumes to outsmart your ATS. So we have reached an ironic stage. The mission is screening text written for the mission. And in that process, human authenticity got lost somewhere between a prompt and a parser. Right. The future of hiring is moving from static storytelling to interactive validation, from reading about what someone claimed they did to watching how they think, listening to how they reason, and evaluating how they solve. Companies are already shifting from ATS to AI interviewers, AI skill assessments, conversation analytics instead of static resumes. So how is actually ATS? How does ATS works? Uh, I have a beautiful video of Hope. We know her, Palki, first post, and she's a very famous journalist. So I have a very great comparison about to understand ATS, a interviewer, what is it exactly, how does it function. I compare the similar. I have a comparison. ATS, you can say it's a similar to Google search. We ask something, it matches the keywords, and it brings them to the list. And AI interviewer is like ChatGPT. We're not worried about the keywords. We just, as per our will, we'll ask what we want. So let's watch this video and see how the trend is happening with Google search. And the similar trend gonna happen with the AI interviewer too.
Traditional Google search
So
relies
is
on
the
ranking
video
websites.
audio
It's based on keywords, backlinks, and a
can
sprinkle of SEO.
If you
And
could please increase the volume.
optimization, SEO. I'm sure maybe you were text-plained by your digital manager. In simple terms, it is the art of getting your website to show up. But SEO is
I
now
think it has
changing.
maximum.
That model is eroding because you don't even need to click on a link. AI can answer your question first, and this is affecting websites. Here's a new study on this. Users now click on links just once in every 100 queries. 1 in 100. In the rest of the cases, they just read the AI summary. And websites are facing the brunt of this. Top websites have lost almost 80% of their traffic. And who's responsible for this? Well, you could blame AI, but we'll also have to say Google. Google must take part of the blame. It is fast adapting to stay ahead in the AI race. In the last 2 years, it has unveiled a number of tools. First, there was the AI overview, rolled out in May 2024. It summarizes your search query, almost like a brief for a meeting. Then there was AI mode. It breaks complex queries into simple answers, complete with images, videos, and even follow-up questions, almost like a personal assistant. And now Google has launched something called the Web Guide. Think of it as AI organizing your search in clusters. Say you search for solo travel to Argentina. So the Web Guide will divide it into categories like safety tips, personal blogs, budget hacks, visa rules, all of it. So Google is basically trying to behave like a librarian who will choose the books for you to read, but also allow you to read them yourself. And yet, it's nothing like the old search. Here's a statistic for you. In 2024, nearly 60% of Google searches resulted in no clicks at all. 60% of searches, no click. Users are getting what they need instantly in AI summaries. For Google, that's efficiency. For websites, that's slow death. And it's not like it's just traffic that they're losing. They're also losing revenue and relevance. And all of this has a downside for you too, the consumer, because AI is not always accurate. It can hallucinate or distort sources. It often provides no links and prioritizes Alphabet-owned content, meaning content that is owned by Google's parent company, Alphabet. For example, YouTube videos over other sources.
So if we look at this video closely, what actually we understand is, so we can apply the same concept of Google search to ChatGPT transition with ATS to AI interview transition, because Google search logic works as similar as ATS logic. There are keywords, and it filters out the resumes, it filters out the links which are having those keywords. So it's a similar fashion, similar logic, similar algorithm, similar technique, right? And Google has something called SEO, which try to bring something to the top of the list. And because nobody's clicking on the search results of Google, the SEO is going down. SEO is becoming dead, right? So similarly, if we look at the A interviewers, ATS to A interviewer, so I have already gone through some of the slides which explain what is problem with the ATS in 2025 and how efficient it is to, and what is the difference between the ATS and A interviewer. So it's a keyword matching to Google search, and here ChatGPT try to understand what we asked, and then it replies to us. So it's a kind of some human or a virtual human just talking to us, and that's the kind of experience we have. So we have one example. You type senior React developer. If the candidate has this keyword in the resume, it would trigger that. It would show that in the result. Even though if he doesn't know the React, there is no validation. Validation is missing with the ATS. If you type and data analyst and it misses brilliant people who wrote business intelligence specialist. So the keywords are different, but the meaning was same. The roles and responsibilities are same. And I have the other example, my resume in ICOM. So I've joined this company a couple of years back, and I was an ex-entrepreneur. I have run 3 startups which received angel investments and exits. So this was my first job, and that was maybe my first time when I created the resume. And unfortunately, I applied for product management role because the last company was I was building a product in edtech, in majorly in the talent intelligence space. So it doesn't have a keyword. It has a designation as founder, and it doesn't have a keyword as product manager. So here, if we pass this resume into an ATS, what exactly is happening is it is only checking the keywords, which I don't have in my resume because I'm not aware. But if I pass the same thing in the A math score, what exactly it's saying is, since this person run business, he holds high ownership. Since he manages a team of these many people, he's a team collab. He can collaborate with a team and work in a corporate environment. These insights, 8 AA is giving me, but ATS couldn't give me. So if we dig deep, 5% was the ATS math score, and AA math score was 68%. Because ATS didn't understand it, only found few keywords which are there in the resume. And if I do the AA interview, it is trying to understand me more, it is trying to learn about me more, and then it is trying to give a math score. So so ATS, we are not replacing the ATS, because ATS is just an internal functionality of the A interview system, right? So I would, so any questions so far?
Sir, does it go
Yeah.
through any external links like LinkedIn and GitHub? Can it go through these links and analyze the
Okay,
previous
you're asking whether it can browse through the web pages, maybe LinkedIn profile
yes.
URLs. No. So I come at this point of time, it's purely AI interviewers. It's purely a screening tool. It doesn't offer any kind of sourcing. So the way how we can bring the resumes into our system is by importing. And we can also we have LinkedIn external apply, right? So when people are applying on our page, we have seen people are using external apply and they're redirecting them back to their website or back to an ATS. So we have that sort of integration where you can create a job in ICOM. I'm going to show you live how that's going to look like, so that it will give you more idea. So it can you can create a job in ICOM. You can use the share link and you can paste that in the LinkedIn external apply. So you can fetch the applications over here. And you can also integrate your career pages so that you don't need the candidates to land on ICOM. You can make them land on your career pages. But I think that that's a good idea. What you mentioned just. So can we go through the can scrape and browse through the LinkedIn profile? There is that's a good insight. Definitely, I think we should add that to our roadmap. The reason is our social profiles. This is what usually an interview and stuff, right? We try to know about the person. We try to check. We have some requirements. So we try to understand whether this person can do these responsibilities or not. And at the same time, this whether this person will fit into our culture or not, fit into our systems or not. So to understand the cultural aspects, probably social media audit, we do even, I think people are doing even for the matrimony sites, not just for jobs. So we have social media audits of Instagram, LinkedIn to understand how the career progressions are and how his wall posts are, what sort of content he's consuming, what sort of content he's sharing. So what kind of person, it gives more insights. Yeah, I think that